We're here. We're live, and welcome to the Weight Room Facebook Live. Hi, Wyatt.
How you doing?
Not too shabby. So we're answering your questions live today, and if you are part of the Weight Room family, cool. Thanks for being a part of our family. And if you're not, why not? You know, come join the Weight Room family. But maybe there's people that will be watching from other places. So we just want to answer questions today about your weight loss goals for 2020. And I'm going to be giving some tips about how to get more results out of your weight loss goals. So let's see if we have no live listeners now, but when you chime in, go ahead and post a comment down below if and when you chime in. And so, yeah, let's start with you. What were your goals for 2020?
To cut out junk food, to cut out soda, and to eat a little more healthier. Even though I do eat healthy, I do eat a little too much.
Well, you have to have your indulgences or you'll freak out and blow something up. So
yeah. I gain weight easy, so seriously.
Yeah, and there are people that do that. I mean, I'm similar in that way where I have to really dial in my food or I can easily put weight on. So, I mean, if you're that type of person, then you really want to dial in your metabolic system, meaning that you want to keep all the sludge out. And like the PUFAs, we've talked about polyunsaturated fats before, they'll make your system run slower, so it will be easier to put weight on. So you can just Google what a PUFA is, but there's a lot of them out there, especially your refined cooking oils. So your Mazola, your Wesson, your Crisco, your margarine, all of those obviously are going to slow down your metabolic system. But I'm assuming you don't do those.
No.
So in other times, it's sometimes when we're too stressed or we put too much stress on our bodies, that can slow down our weight loss results. Are you stressed out, guy?
No, I'm not stressed out.
But are you type A? Do you put pressure on yourself to perform? Okay,
yep,
that's
all
stress.
the time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my stress. Is like I kind of keep my plate not too full, but yet the pressure I put on myself is the stress that I have.
I feel like when I do good, I can always do better.
Yeah,
That's
for sure. Yeah. So sometimes, you know, dialing back the pressure we put on ourselves and not expecting so much from ourselves can be a way to actually see better weight loss results, because high cortisol, your stress hormone, will not allow any of your good sex hormones that help with fat burning to produce. So that's a little tip right there, is to just lower that stress.
I guess I can say I'm stressed out.
Oh yeah, like if you would say, like on a scale, like what I ask in a nutrition consult is like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how stressed are you? And most people will say what you say. Well, I'm not that stressed. I'm like, what about if on a scale of 1 to 10, the stress you put on yourself? Yeah. And they'll go 11.
I do that a lot. Yeah.
So what would you say?
I'd probably say about a 10.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me too.
Easily.
And I've learned that, so I've dialed it back. So I could probably, for real, say maybe an 8 now. I'm down to an 8, but I still put a lot of pressure on myself. So before I get into all the tips I wanted to share today, remember, if you're watching now and you have questions, post them in the comments. We will answer them as we go along. I kind of coined this topic after a question I got that's pretty popular. I'm sure all of us have heard this question before, but how can I burn fat and gain muscle at the same time? And so that's kind of what I put together, 10 tips that I know have been effective for a lot of different people. And so hopefully it'll help you in your goals of building muscle and burning fat, because who doesn't want that, right?
Exactly.
We want to maintain the good muscle that we have and even increase, maybe. Even women, we need to increase muscle mass because, again, that's your metabolic system. That's how you have a better functioning metabolism and all systems are go. So you got to get off the cardio machines all the time. You got to do a little bit of weight training. So we'll get right into it. I like to just jump into my biggest tip I can offer you, rather than, you know, some people do their top 10 tips and they wait till the end for the very best one. Nope, this is the first one. You get the first one is the best. Dylan says, hi, Wyatt.
What's up, Dylan?
Okay, so the number one tip is something called HIIT plus LISS. And HIIT training, as you probably know, high intensity interval training. Now, that does not mean 45 minutes of high intensity interval training. That will induce that cortisol response, that stress hormone that we just talked about. All it is a very small amount of HIIT. You don't need very much. You need to get your heart rate up for a short amount of time, and then you go into something called LISS, low intensity steady state cardio. Do you do that?
I don't, not as much as I should, but then I do cardio each week.
Now, you're big on the weight training.
Yeah, but you have to do cardio to improve on weight training too.
Yes. And so here's how it works. So HIIT training mobilizes, that means it gets the fat out of the fat cells and puts it into the bloodstream. Then the bloodstream needs that low intensity steady state cardio to actually pull those fats and use them for energy while you're walking, slowly jogging, doing the elliptical, like whatever it is that's steady state that you could do. Hiking is steady state cardio. So you would want to do, you know, even just 5 to 10 minutes of HIIT, that high intensity interval, meaning that it's high intensity for a short amount of time. It's intervals, and you're taking rest in between to get the fat cells to break out the fat into the bloodstream. If you just do like high intensity stuff for 45 minutes, you're actually not burning that much fat. You're actually burning a lot of stored glycogen. You're burning through your glucose stores and all of that. So we want to get the fatty acids freed. They need to be free from the fat cells. And then that low intensity steady state cardio actually burns them away. What do you think about that?
I like that.
Okay. So that's pretty easy to do, because what that means is it looks like you're going to do 5 to 10 minutes of maybe a really heavy deadlift session. Do like a big set of deadlifts or squats and rest in between your sets, 5 to 10 minutes. Then go get on the treadmill or the stair climber or the elliptical and just go at a steady state. You're not getting your heart rate too high. You're actually going to maintain just a steady state cardio. And then that's really where you're going to start seeing results. It kind of sounds simple, but part of the simplicity is not elevating your cortisol levels so high that you actually stay in a stress response. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if we actually do the whole more is better thing, where we're doing more high intensity, we're doing like these killer classes and stuff, what that actually adds up to is a high cortisol that won't allow you to see any results. Your body's in this fight or flight state all the time.
You can't push yourself too much, though, because you'll injure yourself, correct?
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, one of the tips that we're going to get to is how important rest is, too. So, that being said, I don't know if you've been in a gym a long time, but do you remember the posters that a lot of gyms had that were the cardio zone? So, you'd have like maximum energy output, then you'd have like endurance support or whatever, and then you'd have maximum fat burning.
Yeah.
And it was pretty low. Like I remember when I was 19, I went to my first gym by myself, and on the treadmill it said, you know, fat burning zone, and it was really low. Like the heart rate was low, what it told me to do. I'm like, that's not right. And so I didn't believe it until I became a personal trainer.
Yeah.
But actually it's the low steady state that actually puts you in where you're burning free fatty acids from your body. So walking is functional for actually burning fat. And like doing ellipticals and things like that, biking is like really good for burning steady state fat. It's not really great for increasing your performance or your strength. That's why we need the weightlifting. But if you want to burn fat, that's steady state cardio.
The last gym I belonged to actually had posters like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't believe it. They're like, well, I have to have maximum heart burning or heart rate in order to, then I know I'm doing something. It's not actually true. So how you calculate it is 220 minus your age, and then you take 60 to 70% of that as your heart rate. Okay. So for most people between 20 and 30 and 40 years of age, it's going to look like 90 to 130 beats per minute. Okay. More on the lower end the older you go. So actually the older you are, you don't have to work as hard. You still get maximum fat burning. So good for you. But you want to, it doesn't sound like it would be that hard to get your heart rate up to 120 beats. It's not that much intensity, but that's where the fat burning state is. So try that. Do about 5 to 10 minutes of high intensity, whatever it is. It could be sprinting on the treadmill. It could be the deadlifts like I mentioned, but then go into your steady state cardio for about 30 or 40 minutes. And see if you don't get results doing that over a couple of weeks. I think you might be surprised. So next. So the next tip we have, I got to pull my notes up here. So we got to find the Goldilocks of calories. And what does that mean? That means that there's some people that are eating, we know, far too much. I mean, we live in a society, I think there was a study that just came out, my brother posted it on his page, something like humans are now at a point where they're moving so much less and eating so much more than ever before in human history, okay? Because when you go outside, there's carbs on every corner, like the gas station, the fast food. I mean, anytime we want anything, we can get it now. So it's really easy to overeat. But so some people are doing that, but then there's also some people that are so afraid of eating that they are under eating. So these are the people that are like, I eat like 6 celery sticks a day and then I drink cabbage soup. And so I want to stay under 400 calories a day. I'm like, well, how's that going to work for you over a lifetime? Okay, you're going to get really hungry at some point and eat everything in sight. So we've got to find the Goldilocks of calories, meaning in order to see fat loss, you have to have a deficit. Okay, you have to have a little bit less And that's when you're going to start dipping into your energy stores all throughout our body. These little fatty areas you feel, those are excess energy that we can burn off, but we have to give it a chance to dip into it. And then you got to make sure you're not going too low, because that slows down metabolism.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So do you feel like you've got yours dialed in as far as calories?
So I was taking in about 2,000, which is kind of too much for my body type.
Mm-hmm.
I taken out 1,500, and yeah, I've been dipping down lower. I've been trying to anyway.
That seems really low for you, because you have long
that's
workouts.
True. Yeah, exactly. So I tried to do that too, but also I did not succeed on that one.
You got really hungry, didn't
Yes.
you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you do high intensity workouts, I get really tired, and then I get really hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I don't eat, I feel really bad.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't feel good at all.
So what happens in that case, what you're talking about, is your metabolism will actually slow down to match your energy intake.
Yeah.
And so it goes, okay, I'm not going to have very much energy for anything else. He might make it through his workouts, but the rest of the day he's going to be exhausted because I don't have enough calories that he's bringing in to know that I need to keep him at a high energy level. So if you feel that way, trust your body's intuition. Know, okay, with the amount of calories that I'm putting out, because you don't sit behind a desk all day.
No.
You're pretty active.
Yeah.
You can probably get away with at least 2,000 calories.
Yep.
Yeah, and more on even heavy duty days or something. So like you said this morning, you were out doing yard work.
Yeah.
So then in addition to the yard work, which is not easy, then you're coming into the gym to work out, and then I know you'll be cleaning today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, because Wyatt's our resident cleaner.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's really important that you don't undereat, because then you'll slow down metabolism anymore. So you got to find that Goldilocks of calories. And part of that is tracking for a short amount of time. So I don't advocate people to get hung up on numbers on a device like MyFitnessPal, but just to become aware is really good. So for a few days, don't change anything, but just log everything that you eat, just whatever you're doing now, do the same thing, but log it and see how much you're taking in. Some people will go, wow, I had no idea I was taking in like 3,000 calories. Other people will go, oh, I was only taking 800 calories. Maybe I've slowed my metabolism. That's why I'm always hungry. Okay, so just become aware and then titrate up if you're too low, because no woman should be below 1,200 in my opinion. And no man probably below what you're saying, like 1,500.
Yeah, 1,500, 2,000.
Yeah, that's probably the bare minimum. That's somebody who's not that active.
Yeah.
But in order to see a deficit, so you're going to find where you need to lift up to, but also if you're eating too much, in order to see a deficit, studies have shown that between 300 and 500 calories of a deficit. So let's say somebody goes, well, I didn't know I was eating 3,000 calories. If they could just dial it back a few hundred calories at each meal, or 200 calories at each meal, they would dial back between 300 and 500 calories mostly. And then they're going to see results, because it's that deficit that you're creating. So that you really have to have the deficit, but you also don't want to go so low that you slow down function. So how you know if you're so low is that you're going to be tired.
Yeah.
You're going to be hungry, and you're going to require more sleep because your body is low on energy, or you'll just feel sleepy. So that's when I need to bump up my calories, maybe eat more frequently and not just have one big meal. And then also make sure that you're tracking for a short amount of time when you dial it in to know, oh, this is how I eat 1,800 to 2,000 calories. This is what that looks like. And then you don't have to do it anymore. You don't have to track. You just know, because that's what it looks like.
Yeah, don't starve yourself to lose weight.
No, that's not going to be beneficial in the long run. That's a great way to get a low thyroid.
Yeah,
so if you're looking for low thyroid function, do that.
It's not helpful.
Okay, so I see we've got quite a few people watching, so welcome. If you guys have questions, post them, and we are ready to answer your weight loss goals and questions for 2020. Or just share your goals with us. We'd love to see what you guys are up to today.
Share them in the comments. Come on.
Okay, number 3. Now this one is, not many people know about this, but there's an easy way to learn about it, and that's called go on YouTube and watch an earthing documentary. It's that you just type in earthing documentary, because one of the best ways to lower a cortisol response, if that high cortisol is why you're not seeing weight loss results, is to get grounded. And growing up, grounded was not a good thing, but now it's a really good thing, because what it is it's connecting you to the frequency of the earth. Now, before you close out this Facebook because you think I'm hippy dippy trippy, there's 21 peer-reviewed studies that talk about how this actually lowers cortisol. And if cortisol is your problem because you over-exercise, or because you're stressed with your job or your family or whatever, this is a no-brainer way to get grounded and lower your cortisol. And all it is either going outside and spending time in nature with your feet on the earth, or if you're at an office or at the gym, you just get a little, well, not at the gym. Well, I guess you could work out with it. It can be a little yoga mat or something.
Yeah.
But wherever you are, at home, you sleep on one of these. You also can just put it under your feet. If you're working on a computer, put it under your wrist. As long as your skin is touching this little grounding mat and connected into the grounded port in your home or in your office, you are grounded. It's as if you get that same feeling of being next to the beach, next to the lake, out in nature, connected to the earth, and this calms cortisol. And if you think that I'm crazy, then go look up studies on grounding and earthing, and then you'll understand that I'm not.
We got one question with JP right there.
I see that. Okay, let's see. How do I lose belly fat? Asking for a friend. So we're kind of talking about that today. We're actually talking about how we can lose fat and build muscle at the same time. But again, I will reiterate that one of the best ways to lose fat is to drop the cortisol down. Most of us are running on this high stress, high fight or flight mode. And no matter if you have the best diet, if you have the best exercise program, you won't see results if your stress is through the roof. And it's not just the stress of daily living. Like he said, he's not stressed. He doesn't live a stressful life, but he puts a lot of stress on himself. Same with me. Also, we're bombarded with environmental stressors like the Wi-Fi, like the Bluetooth, like we're in an indoor nation, we're not outside connected to nature, and all of that disrupts our own rhythm, our nervous system in our body. So something simple is like we've been talking, just getting outside and getting your feet on the earth. If you've ever done that and you felt a difference, imagine sleeping on a grounding mat for 8 hours. Okay, so that's the difference. And if you need to know where to get one, let me know and I'll give you a link for one that's the one I've tested that I know actually works. There's a lot of them out there, but I've actually tested this one to know that it grounds you. Okay, Victoria says, let's see what she says here. Could a diet with dairy and fruit be sustainable for those who wish to be active and have good digestive health? Yes, so I will say yes, based on the fact that dairy is actually anti-estrogenic. And like I've mentioned in previous podcasts, we have far too much estrogen in our society based on the things we're exposed to. So even men, that's why men will get more facial features like women, or they'll get boobs, or they'll get hips. They're getting a little, little more hippie like the women. If you look around in society, men are getting curves, and that's excess estrogen. That's because they cook with soybean oil at all the fast food places and gas station foods that a lot of men turn to. So that being said, dairy is anti-estrogenic, and there's certain fruits that are anti-estrogenic, so you can naturally lower your estrogen levels. And
what fruits?
Oh, okay, good. So apples, no, not apples, oranges. Sorry, I was going to say apples do not, because they have pectin in them that actually feed your bad bacteria. So oranges, watermelon, cherries, you can do things like mangoes. Those are really good anti-estrogenic food. Your citrus fruits are going to be your better ones. So like oranges and grapefruits and stuff like that. Grapes are another good one. And then dairy, things like cottage cheese and Greek yogurt and harder cheeses like your Parmesan, things like that are really great to have on hand. And then you're getting your protein in, because protein speeds metabolism too. So for people looking to lose belly fat, you want to make sure that you're getting adequate protein, at least 1 gram of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're looking to really increase that, that can be daunting for some people. They'll go, how am I going to get that much protein in a day? But as you and I probably know, it's quite easy because once you start eating protein, you kind of crave it, and it becomes like, well, how am I going to get my protein? So
it's an addiction. It
is. Protein can be addicting. So it's as easy as having some eggs for breakfast, having a piece of meat at lunch with whatever you're eating, and then having meat at dinner time. Right there, you're looking at about 60 to 70 grams of protein. And then with your snacks in between, you could have something like your dairy, your eggs, your meat, whatever. But if you're eating small meals throughout the day, it's really easy to get your protein in. Other things you can do is like amino acids. So I have like a little amino acid drink in here, and amino acids are basically protein that's already broken down for you, so your body can use it right away. But yes, Victoria, with fruit, you're getting the good glucose to refuel your liver. Your liver loves fruit because it doesn't have to do a lot to digest it. And then also the dairy is really good protein. So I see no reason why you can't sustain that with good activity, and also it to help you create good digestion. The only caveat would be is some people don't digest dairy well. So if you know that about you and you have kind of digestive issues when you eat dairy, then probably you'd have to swap out for something else. Okay, those are very good questions. I don't see any more on here currently, so I'll go back to my little list, going back to how do we build muscle and lose body fat, and specifically like with JP's question of belly fat. I mean, belly fat really has to do with that cortisol we were talking about, because when you're stressed, where do you typically store body fat? Your midsection.
The belly.
Yeah, this is where our vital organs are. So our body's going to fight really hard to protect the vital organs. So it's actually a good thing. It's kind of a survival mechanism, but it doesn't feel really good when you're storing extra weight through your middle. But it can also be due to an insulin spike. Okay, so insulin is your fat storing hormone that also regulates blood sugar, right? Insulin is the key that gets the blood sugar into the cells. And if refined carbs are too high, like not the fruits, we're not talking about nature carbs, but we're talking about refined, like your pastries, your muffins, your cereals and things like that. If they're too high, then yeah, you're definitely going to elevate insulin to a level that's not safe, and then you can become insulin resistant. And a lot of times when people are insulin resistant, that's where the belly fat comes on. So swapping out your carbs for more natural carbs, something like the fruit, maybe some oatmeal, some rice, things that are easily not processed by a company but are found in nature, that's going to be a lot easier to digest and to see results with.
Processed foods are not good. I actually just had Kinsey ask me about processed foods and how she was always hungry because they don't process right. Therefore, you're not going to ever be full.
Exactly. And you're not getting any nutrition from them, because most like fast foods and gas station foods, there's no nutrition in those. They've been so far processed, like you say, that your body can't get any vitamins or minerals or protein or anything out of it, because it just goes in and it's like, well, this can't help me, so let me have chronic diarrhea so I can get it out. Okay, so if people are experiencing that on kind of the gas station diet, I call it, then yeah, that's your body's actually telling you this is not okay. Like, I'm not okay eating the foods you are. So if you have chronic cow patty splats or diarrhea, that's your body telling you I'm not okay.
Consistently hungry too.
And if anybody wants to comment on their poo, I love to talk about poo. So I'm sorry, I'm still 5, so it's fun for me.
The Hershey squirts.
Right. Yeah, we don't want those either. We want a nice scuba diver, the brown snake that's a scuba diver. He goes in, he doesn't plop. Like, it's not a plop, or like you don't get drops of toilet water on your bum. Like, it just goes right in. And Bob's your uncle. So yeah, it's nice. There it is. Okay, back to my list, since we don't have any questions yet, but I see there's people watching, so don't hesitate to ask questions. Make vitamin P a priority. Do you know what vitamin P is?
Vitamin P, no, I do not.
Pleasure, passion, purpose. Okay, all of these are stress mitigators. So they're going to lower your stress when you're involved in something that brings you pleasure and that brings you, it's a passion for you. So it could be a hobby, it could be like a favorite thing that you do, it could be something just as simple as coloring in one of those adult coloring books. Whatever is something that like calms the stress response in your body, the more you make time for that, the more results you're going to get. For me, it's paddleboarding. I love to go paddleboarding. I don't have to be, it's not extreme. You just go out there and it's really, and you're out in nature. So anything out in nature would be vitamin P for me. What would
relaxing.
It be for you?
I'd say being out in nature. I don't know, sitting on a tube in the middle of the lake in the hot sun, even though it's cold right now, so I can't do that.
And it's funny,
floating.
It's funny, a lot of people will say it's nature for them. And so that's how people can understand the power of grounding. Like I was just mentioning the grounding mat. And being outside, when you're connected to earth and you get that calm feeling, that's the same feeling you can have when you have to be inside. You can have your body touching a grounding mat, and you can actually get the stress lowered, and you'll feel it. Like a lot of people will say, I feel warmer, I feel more energy, or I feel tingly all over. That's the benefit of like staying grounded. You're not having too much frequency in your body that can either amp you up too much and give you that wired but tired feeling, or for some people, excess energy from the atmosphere, from Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all that, it actually damps them down. So then they don't have any energy. They just feel awful. So that's the power of nature. You can bring that into your home or into your business as well. So number 5, I can't stress enough. Okay, elevated cortisol will halt your results, but there are some supplements that are really good. So one of those is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an herb that's been around since forever, and it is called an adaptogenic herb. That means it helps your body adapt to the stress that it's under. So, because sometimes you can't change the stress that you're under, like somebody who's a caregiver, they can't change that. They have to take care. but they could help their body adapt to what they're doing better. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Okay. Another one is magnesium, because magnesium is your calming mineral. Okay, so it calms you down.
You can get too much magnesium now, can't you?
Yes, and then we go back to the toilet, because when you get too much magnesium, you get the runs. Okay, that's your body like too calm.
Too calm.
Yeah. So yeah, you want the right amount. It's always that Goldilocks effect.
Another such thing as being too calm.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Your bowels will go, okay, I'm really relaxed. We're just gonna let it all hang out. So we have a product here that we carry at the gym called Discipline, and it actually has magnesium and what do I say? Oh, ashwagandha in it. So, and a few other things too, but I really like the combination of herbs and amino acids to calm you down. So if you guys are interested, check us out. We have Discipline here, and I love it. It's a little powdered drink mix that you just mix in your water and tastes really good. And it's going to calm you down and give you kind of better cognition and better mental alertness. So other ones are like rhodiola. That's another good herb. Chamomile tea. Having a drink of chamomile tea can actually help you fall asleep at night, but it's also very calming to the nervous system and the digestive system if you tend to have a bigger meal in the evening. So that's just a great way, a few things to lower the stress naturally with some supplementation. How do you lower your stress?
Lowering my stress. Lifting does actually lower my stress,
Yeah,
to be honest.
right there.
It can, but it can't. It also is pretty hard on my body too. So therefore, lowering stress, probably go fishing.
Okay,
I'd
good.
say fishing is probably the solid one.
No, but I agree with you, because exercise is a release for us.
Yeah.
For those of us that are kind of exercise addicts, it's that rush of endorphins. We're thinking that it's a stress relief, but really we're feeling really good because you release endorphins. But like you said, if it's too much, we might feel really good because of the endorphins, but that doesn't mean that our cortisol is not way too high, way higher than it should be. And I've had to dial myself back even just recently. I got some blood work back about my hormones that was like not that great.
Yeah.
And I'm a runner. I love to run. I had to stop running. Like I had to go back to just walking, which at first I was like, oh my gosh, walking, boring. But now I'm like, wait a second, I feel like I'm actually getting better results from walking versus getting my run in, because now I'm starting to park farther away. I'm trying to add walking all throughout my day. So when I go to the grocery store, I'm trying to like walk there, and I'm trying to walk at home, and I'm trying to add all these steps to my day. And I get up and walk on my treadmill in the morning when I just get out of bed just to get my steps in. It's like I'm trying to get more steps, so that it actually probably adds up to even more than my stupid little one run a day was doing, you know.
I park far away in general.
Yeah, it's the way it should be. So that's going to be a tip coming up, so stay tuned. I'm going to be talking more about walking. But yeah, we really want to take a notice of our body. One way to do that too is get your hormones tested, know where your hormones are, because that will affect your weight loss greatly. So if you're doing all the right things, if you're eating all the right foods, and you're exercising the way you think you should, and you're still not getting results, go and get your hormones tested. I can't stress that enough, because low testosterone for men or women, low progesterone for men or women will cause you to not see results. Higher estrogens in men or women will cause your body to just like say, nope, you're not getting anything. You're going to get minimal, if nothing, results. So I can't stress that enough too. Okay, take a rest day or a rest week. Okay, now this time of year, people have just started back to their exercise habits, so typically you won't need a rest week yet. But if you've been a heavy lifter or a heavy duty exerciser for a while, consider a rest week. You've heard of periodization, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there used to be, a lot of people followed periodization where you did like hypertrophy, and you did strength, and you did power, and then the fourth week you did rest. Like you did hardly anything, like active recovery, nothing. Okay, and that's really good, because the human body is very systematic, and so it needs heavy duty, but it also needs rest. That's why we have day and we have night, okay? So our creator knew ahead of time that we would need to like move our body, and then we need to stop moving our body. So whether that means a rest day or every now and then a rest week, do that for yourself, because you will be amazed. It's kind of like people that will tell me, I went on vacation and I ate like crap and I didn't do anything. I laid on the beach all day and I lost 5 pounds. Well, number one, you lowered the stress response. Number two, you were grounded. Your feet were on the beach.
Yeah.
And number three, you actually did not move to where you dropped a bunch of inflammation from your body. Because when you are doing heavy duty exercise all the time, you're carrying about 5 pounds of water weight in your muscle that actually makes you think, wow, I've got this body fat it can't get rid of, but actually it's just inflammation. Your muscles are so fatigued all the time, they're just holding on to inflammation. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so it's something
I've done that before.
simple.
I've done that in a while.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I used to, as a runner, I mean, I was constantly carrying, I think, excess water weight in my legs because I was never making them stop, you know? So it's easy to do. It's easy to get out of balance, but that's why we have to sometimes take a step back and go, I'm not seeing results. Do I need to make changes so I can see some changes? If I keep doing the same thing I'm doing and I'm not seeing changes, should I continue doing the same thing I'm doing?
No, change it up.
Yeah, so it's good to throw in some, try. Give it a week and say, okay, for this week, I'm just going to walk. I'm not going to run and see what happens. Or I'm not going to lift this week. I'm going to give my body a break. Or I'm going to take this day off instead of doing 7 days a week on every day. Okay.
That's what I did when I cut my workouts down, because you can also overtrain yourself, therefore to where you won't see results.
Exactly. And that's the cortisol response we were talking about. Yeah. Cortisol goes up whenever your body's in the state of I can't shut down. You'll also see it in your sleep. If you have problems sleeping, chances are you're in constant fight or flight, a constant cortisol response, and that sleep is not happening because your body's like, I'm in no shape to go to sleep. I'm wide awake with all this cortisol floating through me. So yeah.
Steak.
Okay, so then 7 is hydrate properly, and that doesn't just mean drink water, okay? It does, but it doesn't. We need to drink water, obviously. But if you're taking in those fruits, you're getting water. If you're doing things like raw carrots and stuff like that, you're getting water from your vegetables. But another thing is doing something like a coconut water before or after your workouts and just taking a pinch of sea salt. That's like your body's perfect electrolyte balance, because the only thing coconut water is missing is sea salt, okay? So it's got all of your electrolytes, your potassium, your sodium, your magnesium, your calcium, all of it in coconut water. And it's so simple. You just take it to either before or after your workouts just to replenish everything that you've lost. We also have some new drinks that are coming in. It's by the same company, this Jocko Willink. We carry his stuff, and this is the Go drink. And it's got like B12, it's got magnesium, it's got L-carnitine, which helps with weight loss, and it's got L-theanine, which is an amino acid that comes from green tea that's actually been touted in many studies to help with fat loss. So this is a fun little drink we'll be carrying. We're going to have them in soon. We only have this one right now. So you can't have this one, unfortunately, but we're going to get some more in soon. And I think you guys will really like them. They're a little fizzy drink, and they're all good ingredients. It's sweetened with monk fruit, not stevia, for those of you that are like, ew, I hate stevia. So it doesn't have that bitter aftertaste. So did you like it when you tried it? Yeah, it's
like a healthier Sprite.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's called Citrus Psycho.
It tastes like Sprite to me. I like it.
Yeah, I feel like the kind of a citrusy taste, but we're also getting in, I think we're getting in Tropical Thunder, which is like more of a tropical.
So it says pre-mission on it too. Does that mean it's a pre-workout as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, pre-workout. And then I would also say post-workout, just because it does have some minerals and some B vitamins in it.
So you do both.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of
2 birds with 1 stone.
It just means go. You drink it and you're ready to go, whether it's your workout or your day. But yeah, something like the coconut water is easy, but throughout the day, the way to hydrate properly is if you feel like you're kind of low on minerals, or maybe you found out that you have low minerals, one of the best things to do is actually take sea salt before you drink water. Just carry a little baggie of sea salt with you, pop it in your mouth and drink it. This is one of my go-tos in the afternoon for people that feel low energy, about that 2 or 3 o'clock spot.
So what if you don't do that? There's a drink called Body Armor that has coconut water in it.
Oh, yeah.
Would that be one of them too? Like anything that has coconut water in it, right?
I would have to see the other ingredients that are with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of coconut water is cheap and easy to go get a little carton of it and have that. And it doesn't take much. You don't have to have a huge coconut water, because that can be a lot of sugar, because coconut water has natural sugar in it. But again, it's natural. So that's what we're looking for.
Natural sugars?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because part of like this time of year, I know there's a lot of people on keto and low carb because they're trying to lose body fat that way. It might work in the short term because carbs help you store water in your cells, in your muscle cells, and in your tissues. And so when you drop the carbs, you're going to go, oh, look at all this weight I'm losing. Yeah, I'm going to have to stay low carb and keto. But really, that's going to happen for a short amount of time. Maybe like the first couple of weeks, you're going to see results, and then you're going to plateau, and you're going to be like, I don't know why this isn't working for me anymore. I'm still low carb. But what's happened now is the stress response of being low carb has caused your metabolism to slow down.
Can't do that.
So do it the tortoise way, the slow and steady. Maybe you're not going to drop carbs, but you're going to shift them over to those natural carbs like we were mentioning, the fruit, the oats, the rice, the gluten-free stuff, because gluten has a little bit of an inflammatory response in the body. And not the processed anything. You're going to do all natural everything. And that way you're going to get those carbs in, but they're going to be in a way that your body goes, oh, I can use this for pure energy. And I don't have to store any of it except for my glycogen storage for when I work out.
You feel a whole lot healthier too.
Yes, you do. You feel like you're running on like all 8 cylinders instead of like sludging along like a car that has bad gas in it.
Well, in college, I was putting away a lot of processed foods. And then once I switched over to cooking myself, such as chicken, the vegetables, different types of vegetables, I feel a lot better. I feel like I can wake up earlier. I'm 22.
That is so cool that at 22, like he's cooking all his own meals instead of eating the gas station.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do. I mean, I cheat sometimes, like I said, but I do like to cook.
Yeah, no, that's exactly.
I can only cook a few things consistently right now, but
so when
I'm
you
getting
say
there.
cheat, what do you cheat on?
Let's say I'll have a Twix candy bar every now and then. I see that right there. They get me at the front of the line at the gas station or something. I always go in and pay for my gas. I don't do it at the pumps. That's just always how I've been. So it's right there in front of my eyes. I give in.
Yeah,
I'm a weak man for a Twix.
No, it's for sure. I understand. I'm a weak one for peanut butter.
Yeah.
Like if I see peanut butter, I'm like, oh, what's going to happen right now? Bad things are going through my mind.
I try to be strong for it, but it doesn't happen.
But again, I try to plan for, like, if I want it, I'm just going to plan it. I'm going to have it, and then I'm going to be done with it.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anything wrong with having once in a whiles. It's when those once in a whiles become all the time that
like
gets
every
out
day.
of balance.
Yeah.
So your body has a liver that's designed to process through chemicals and different things that we're not always exposed to. And if you're doing mostly natural things, when it gets to that spot where you grab the Twix, your liver goes, oh, I got this. Like I'm healthy. I can filter through this. And as long as the Twix doesn't happen every day, your liver's going to be just fine to handle that.
Well, I recently switched from just Gatorade to Gatorade Zero because of the sugars. There's no sugars in it. I know it's not still healthy enough for you, but also chicken strips. What about chicken strips?
Like, are you talking fried or grilled?
Fried.
Okay. So they're going to have gluten.
Yeah.
And so that can kind of slow down your metabolic system because anything with gluten does affect your thyroid. So it will slow down your, now that being said, if you're just having it, once a week or once a month, then no big deal. But if you're making it a daily habit, then that's when people have to be concerned.
The white meat's good for you though, just the outer part's not good for you.
Yeah, but the white, anything you're getting at a gas station, now if you're making your own chicken
let's say
strips,
King Food Saver. Let's say
so
like
you're
at the grocery store.
Okay, so you're buying them. But even grocery stores, I mean, they're not going to make it great. And the other thing is anytime you're buying fried from places like grocery stores or gas stations or fast food, they're using PUFA oil to fry it in. So either soybean oil or corn oil or vegetable oil to fry it in. So, a large part of the reason why we become pre-diabetic and diabetic is from the PUFA, not from the sugar, not from the flours. It's actually the combination of the sugar and the flour, or the PUFA and the flour together. So if you're going to bread your own at home and then fry it in coconut oil, you could probably do that more often than you could have the eating out episodes. Plus, a little known fact you might know is that you can grind up oats and use that just like your egg wash and your oats that are ground up as your breading, and you roll it in that, fry it in coconut oil, and you will be amazed at how yummy it is as your own little fried chicken that you could have every day because oats are gluten-free and coconut oil is not a PUFA. So
always looking for new cooking ideas,
Yeah, and you don't have to buy the expensive coconut oil. Go to Walmart and buy the low-anna cheap coconut oil. It is not a PUFA. It's still a saturated fat, and you won't have any sort of coconutty taste to your eggs or fried foods or anything. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, so that's a way to have your fried foods and still see results, is to use a refined coconut oil and to use gluten-free oats or just regular oats, grind them up real fast, 30 seconds in a blender, and use that flour to bread anything you want. So I promise you will love it. My husband, who's the world's pickiest eater, loves when I fry with oat flour because it actually crisps up really nice, and it's nice and thick like a lot of that dense breading that you want is. So yeah, let's see. Has anybody else posted a question for us? Oh, let's see. Victoria says, can the benefits of walking be just as great as running? Is it possible to see weight loss results with a healthy environment, low cortisol and solid nutrition, but with just low impact activity? Yes, so I'm going to skip down to tip number 10, which is walking. Okay, so go ahead and Google some videos of people who have walked 25,000 steps a day, or 20 steps a day. They've got a little, you know, a pedometer, or they're using their phone and they're counting their steps, and watch their results after a week time. Okay, there's several videos on there where people just walked every day for 25,000 steps for 7 days, and they lost 1.5% body fat. Okay, so that's really hard to do. It usually takes about a month of consistent everything to lose a 1.5 of body fat. That being said, walking, yeah, what it's doing is you're lowering that cortisol response, and you're actually kind of burning at that low fat burning state we talked about in the beginning, where your heart rate is mildly up, but it's not up to this extreme where you're going to get strength benefits, but you are going to be pulling those fatty acids from the bloodstream and burning it off. Okay, so yeah, walking is almost better than running, if you want my true opinion, because if you look at a lot of walkers that have been consistent over the years, none of them are obese. If you look at people in New York City that walk everywhere that they go because they live in the city, none of them are obese. Okay, and if you walk barefoot when you can, you're actually getting a twofer. Okay, you're grounded and you're getting walking, so you're calming the stress response in 2 ways. What do you think about that?
Barefoot, huh?
Yeah.
No shoes.
Like this.
Barefoot.
Let's see how many likes that gets. People that know me know that my feet are always dirty. I'm sorry. I walk barefoot everywhere I go. So it's just, that is what it is. Okay, Kenzie asks, how many bags of hot fries are acceptable per day? Okay, well, I like this question because hot fries have, I think it's 6 forms of MSG in them. MSG is an excitotoxin. And so what it does is it excites the brain cells and then kills them simultaneously, to where as you go on, you're actually losing more and more brain cells. In addition to that, MSG, and especially if something has 6 forms of it, is actually going to slow down your thyroid, and it's going to make you more fatigued because your body won't sense that it's getting enough energy. It's actually almost like, you know how the meat glycates, or like when you grill a piece of meat, it turns brown and crispy on the edges? Yeah. Well, that's what happens to your cells whenever they're exposed to too many excitotoxins. They glycate. There's too much sugar and too many chemicals that are processed, and they cause the cell structure to slow down. Like the hot seasoning too. Yeah, yeah. So anything that says yeast extract, monosodium glutamate, you got sodium caseinate, all of those are names for MSG. It's got heartburn written all over it. Yes, in addition to digestive upset, because MSG does cause leaky gut, to where you're actually having small perforations in the gut lining. And that actually can cause nutrients to leak out into the bloodstream, and you can develop further food allergies. So how many bags? I'm going to let you answer that question for yourself. 0. I just wanted you to know the truth about what's in your hot fries. How about this? How about instead, though, you take a potato and you chop it up and make little fries, and then you roll it in some chili and cayenne pepper seasoning and maybe some Parmesan cheese. And then you fry it in like a good refined coconut oil and make it your own hot fries. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, you might have to try that. I think I might have to try that. That actually sounds really good. Okay, Kenzie says, hello, I'm about to eat all of them. I'm going to like that. She's just being real, man. I love it. All right, any more questions? You guys keep going. Otherwise, I'm going to refer back to my list here, because we dropped down to number 10, which was the walk it off. You know, walk. You know, aim to try for 7 days, 20,000 steps for that long, and see what happens every day, 20,000 steps. Now, that being said, those of you who are members and you're watching this, I have a challenge for you that's coming up, and we're going to post it pretty soon, but it's a 20-20 challenge, meaning that we want you to walk 20,000 steps per day for 20 days.